But for me, there's a difference between an oppressive intermediary that actually becomes a stumbling block and gets in the way of that relationship, and a useful intermediary that is actually helping me along. So what I mean by that, for example, is I would say our idea of the ulama or the expert class, the learned or the scholarly class, I would say that's more akin to the idea of secular specialists and various scientists than it is to the priesthood in Catholicism. So to finish with that example, what I mean is you're free to make personal health decisions for yourself, but at some point you need that intermediary. What I mean by that is you're not going to read a medical textbook and do an operation on yourself or cut off a limb if, God forbid, it has a tumor in it or something like that. So you're going to consult, and you won't take advice from me either because I'm not a medical doctor. So at that point, you want to go to somebody who is an expert in medical science, who's gone to medical college, who's studied. Why? Not because he or she is intrinsically higher than you or better than you, but because practically speaking, they have more expertise and they have more knowledge in that particular subject. So again, for me, this is a rational idea that for me to interpret the Quran on those ambiguous gray issues. It doesn't mean I can't read and benefit from the Quran, but there are some ambiguous gray areas. For me to interpret that as opposed to consulting somebody who's studied the Quran for 5, 6, 8, 10 years and studied the various classical commentaries on the Quran. So for me, it's just logical and common sense and good reasoning to consult somebody who's an expert in that field. And just to finish that example, if you would consult a medical doctor about your physical body, if you would consult a car mechanic about your physical car, we Muslims would say that the soul is much more important than the body, is much more important than that mechanical car. So it's actually all the more reason for us to not freelance it in that sense.
So basically...
And ISIS, by the way, has that philosophy of no intermediaries, right? By the way, ISIS would say, we don't care what the majority of Muslim scholars think, so what? We don't care what Al-Azhar University in Cairo says, so what? We're going to do it ourselves. And that can be a big disaster, right? They're pretty libertarian in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm saying you're on all sides of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
But I mean,
But if we want to prevent those kinds of disasters and abuses, this is where, for me, as a Sunni Muslim, the idea of a body of consultative scholars and experts, it makes some sense.
And the parallel to me of that is it's the same. Even in a place where we're not talking about religion, and you're talking about a secular society like this one, you say we don't want anarchy because look at that group over there. Look what they're doing. That's why they would argue. They'd argue you need politicians to basically a body of politicians to run things, and it just comes back down to the same political difference again, whether you think politics should be politicians or priests or a body of scholars or ulama or whatever you want, should be making decisions on what you're doing. It comes down to that. But I don't see what that's got to do with your spiritual belief, because you're like I don't see where the
no, there is no connection. I mean, bottom line is that bottom line is politicians cannot regulate your personal belief or your sincerity or anything like that, but it can regulate actions and behavior. Let's just put it like that. It can at the most regulate actions and behaviors, and that's it.
I mean, things like you obviously believe that you connect with right with your creator through your book, but I don't myself believe that I connect with the creator through a specific book myself. So
but have you read the entire Quran?
I've read it in English,
The entire Quran, I would recommend that you also listen to it as well too, because the Quran is something that is not just read, but it's recited and it's listened to as well too. Almost everyone says that.
In Arabic.
Everyone almost always says that as well too. And regardless, even if you don't understand Arabic, it's something to be listened to as well too. So I mean, for some people, it can be in the form of a religious book or scripture. For some people, it's subjective, like kind of experiences, as you said, the way you interpret and experience those amazing, miraculous coincidences that you've seen in your life. But again, the two can blend together as well too, right? I can have an amazing, miraculous, spiritual, ecstatic experience by experiencing the Quran. So it doesn't have to be an either-or binary situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't even. I think you could. I suppose personally, I think that God could talk to you through the Quran. But for me, I'm just saying that for me, it's not specifically a book. God, like if you want to use the word God, God can communicate with you, or let's say the higher power can communicate with you through. It could be through a passage in the Quran. It could be through a passage in a magazine. It could be through something that was shown to you on an advert on the TV.
Yeah, we have both layers.
They
Yeah,
call it
yeah.
synchronicity.
Right, and we have both of those layers, because in the Islamic tradition there's the concept of ilham, which is inspiration as well too. So absolutely, I mean, in some way I could be inspired by talking to you, right?
Yeah, like
it could somehow re-trigger something in me.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, it was very, very nice talking to you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
What's your
Thanks
name?
very much, Sadat. And yours?
I'm Paris. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, very nice talking to you. If you have any other questions about Islam or anything, feel free to ask. Take care. Thanks very much.